The Mysteries of the Sith promises quite a bit. It promises quite a bit for an expansion pack.
I knew I was gonna regret this.
It's a whole new campaign. It has a female protagonist, which was a rarity back then, and not common enough even today. But most interesting of all was its title. Just the title itself fills you with a sense of awe and curiosity. The Mysteries of the Sith. Ooh, what mystery? The Sith? Who are the Sith? Are we going to uncover some long-forgotten culture? Some scheme or some forbidden knowledge about the Sith? And I'm afraid to say, the game doesn't answer or deliver on those promises. Let's find out why.
Good luck.
Thanks. I have a feeling I'm gonna need it.
Mysteries of the Sith was released a year after Jedi Knight as an expansion pack.
Stop it!
This is Kyle.
You return to play as Kyle Katarn, now Jedi Master, and aiding the New Republic. But after the first hour or two, you jump into Mara Jade, his apprentice, and popular new character, introduced in the 90s book series. The game added some new weapons, some new enemies, and improvements to the graphics and artificial intelligence, but those additions weren't that game-changing. Again, this was an expansion pack, rather than a full sequel. It didn't need to be a massive step up from the last game, like what we saw with Dark Forces towards Jedi Knight. Instead, this game had the opportunity to either improve what was done before, or add more content at the very least. And while Mysteries of the Sith, or MOTS for the sake of convenience, does add some nice little additions, MOTS carries over the same problems that plagued Jedi Knight. But what's more disappointing this time is how it squanders its potential in the writing department.
No! I sense only evil and death.
But before getting into that, first I want to say I will be swapping footage from the vanilla game and the remastered footage. I'll mostly use the latter, just for clarity. But the mod did crash on me quite a bit, so you'll see me using the vanilla footage from time to time. Next up, I'll bring up a handful of things I actually liked about this game.
Very well. What do you propose?
There weren't any major improvements made here, but I do appreciate the little bits and touches they added to this game. Something I think the expansion pack nails over Jedi Knight is the voice acting.
Hey, if you want to do business with the slug, it's none of my concern.
The in-game voice work in Jedi Knight was serviceable. Stormtroopers sounded like stormtroopers.
There he is.
Kyle had a few lines, and the Dark Jedi did too, but it was just a bunch of grunts. But the team really did invest into the voice acting for MOTS. For one, they hired professional voice actors who starred in animated shows.
You keep this up and you might give yourself a good name.
Mara's voice acting is a damn good pleasure from start to end.
Of course, first I'll have to tell Mon Mothma about your illegal surveillance equipment. Being an honest Jedi and all.
She sounds snarky, stubborn, determined, and endearing.
I don't like the look of this, but there's no other way.
While playing the game, she oddly sounded familiar, and to my surprise, it's because I heard her voice before.
I can't believe you destroy a whole city just for one stupid movie!
The voice actress, Heidi Shannon, unfortunately retired a few years later, which is a shame because she really nails that spunky character type.
This is too easy.
With Kyle Katarn, sure, he doesn't sound gruff or identical to the original actor,
Gravity is a harsh mistress.
but Reno Romano does pull off a charming mentor-type character.
Mara, I need you to stay here. The New Republic needs you to—
But my training! Yeah, I understand.
You've learned all you can from me. May the Force be with you, Mara.
As goofy as Kyle sounded towards the end of the game,
If you choose to continue, your Jedi powers will fail you, and you will walk alone.
At least he sounds sorta convincing.
I know your intentions are to save me, Mara, but it's far too late now.
Besides voicing Batman,
Bruce Wayne, I don't believe we've met.
I didn't know he voiced Revan's lines from the Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes?
Heck, another celebrity voice actor I noticed was Steve Blum.
Sensors detect Imperial ground troops landing just outside our shields.
You know, Mr. Prolific voice actor and also voices several Star Wars characters.
Did you just try to give me an order, cadet?
Mods does a much better job of creating lived-in worlds, given the technical limitations back then. You got Republic soldiers who aid you in combat, with allies being non-existent in Jedi Knight. When you're told to meet with a Hutt, you go through the living quarters of his subjects, including his palace patrons just hanging around in the bar. When you're imprisoned in a dungeon, you can free the other inmates who start ganging up on the guards. On the spaceport mission, the city looks busy with bars, stands, a theater, and even a droid ballet? Okay, that's neat. Speaking of cool secret Easter eggs, on that same level, you can catch a Millennium Falcon departing the spaceport. And when you later infiltrate a pirate base, you come across some familiar faces from the previous games.
This looks familiar.
The Dark Trooper helmet, and 88's dismembered head. How did they get here in the pirate's lair in the first place? I don't know, and I don't really care, because it's some cute little fan service. The best new weapon in this game has to be the repeating rifle. It doesn't show up much, in fact, it does only twice, but when it does, it's damn cathartic. I also do commend the game for making better use of your force powers for problem solving. In Jedi Knight, your force powers were mostly used for combat. But in Mysteries of the Sith, the game has a lot of puzzles and utility-centric situations for your force powers. Some include using force pull to steal prison keys, your lightsaber so you have any chance of fighting a Rancor, and these levers to get across this body of water. There's also moments of you using Force Persuade to turn yourself invisible so you can get past this invisible wall being put up by a Sith statue, and use Force Sense to see and open secret doors. Mods has a handful of neat additions and improvements over the last game, but little neat touches does not make a game great. And this expansion pack still falls trapped to the same problems that plagued Jedi Knight. I suppose it was inevitable that Mysteries of the Sith would carry over the same difficult and confusing level design from the last game, being an expansion pack, right? But wow, is this game far more confusing and punishing from start to finish. With the level design, Mysteries of the Sith diverges from Jedi Knight's often wide, empty spaces, and goes for a more realistic, constructed world. More interior, compact environments, basically. But that also means that there's more maze-like areas and more backtracking.
But no, you wanted to do things the hard way.
Here's a few egregious examples of the game having obscure levels with baffling solutions. During the second mission, you need to get into this base, but it's basically a fortress, and there's no way of getting in without your body having too many holes. That and the only way in is sealed tight. Outside the base, there's a small outpost that has a sniper attachment. So what, do you just snipe them one by one? Oh, you're supposed to shoot this tiny control panel.
This is exactly what I needed.
So the door stays open? How would anyone know that? Later in the same level, I was stumped when I was being pinned down by a turret across this chasm, which I guess I have to get across. I want to shoot back, but the turret is shielded. After watching a walkthrough, it turns out you're supposed to head to the furthest edge of this area, so the turret will be obscured and hit the fuel tank next to it, destroying itself and activating a platform for you to get across. It's a cool idea, but no hints were given. When you need to get into Kappa's palace, you're met with the entrance being sealed shut. Okay, so how do you get inside? By attacking this refinery so a repair crew leaves the door open for you? Again, how would anyone know this in the first place? And during the pirate attack, after fixing some controls to launch the New Republic fighters, you're told to get to the bridge. Oh, you mean the starting area? Where Mara Jade was on the comms earlier? But no, that's not the bridge, even though it looks like it. It's apparently somewhere else. So how do you get there? You need to go through a grating first. That's located under the launching pad? Why did they have to make it so obscure? As for the difficulty, the majority of it comes from how, because the levels are less open, more confining, it makes it harder to dodge and avoid taking damage. Lastly, the final missions are littered with instant death-inducing enemies. These knife-wielding hunchbacks, and these predators. Both will maul you to death in a second, even with Force Protect. So, given the problems that made the gameplay more frustrating than ever, throughout the playthrough, I was hoping that the characters and story would carry the game. I just had to ask, right?
Why do I feel like I'm gonna regret this?
The game takes place 5 years after Jedi Knight. It opens with Kyle and Mara Jade training. The New Republic is attacked by the Imperial remnants, and Kyle heads to their asteroid base. There he sabotages the asteroid and has it self-destruct. He returns and tells Mara Jade that he found Imperial information on a lost Sith planet,
Because I've discovered some references to a hidden temple on the remote planet of Droman Kaz, something I don't think the Empire wanted anyone to see.
and that he's going to be investigating and thus gone for a while, with Mara staying put. The New Republic needs supplies. She's given a task to contact Kappa the Hutt, and they pick Mara because she used to be a smuggler. She gets there and is told by the guards that because she's a Jedi, and Luke Skywalker, who was also a Jedi, who helped kill Jabba the Hutt, they're not gonna let her see Kappa the Hutt.
That was different. I'm not.
Instead of calling the New Republic and asking for a non-Jedi diplomat to arrive,
I guess I'm gonna have to find a way to let myself in.
she messes up the palace, blows up the roof, and gets an audience with Kappa.
Tell your men to back off.
Kappa agrees to giving her the supplies if Mara takes out a competing gang lord out. You go to a spaceport full of gangsters, civilians, and the Empire. You track down the middleman, but it's a trap and you find yourself in prison in some dungeon. You break out and get rescued, with Kappa having loaded your ship with the supplies that was promised. You're then on a New Republic cruiser to escort a special piece of cargo, a Jedi holocron to be exact. Suddenly, the ship comes under attack by pirates. The holocron's stolen, you head to the pirates' hideout, recover the holocron, and tell Mon Mothma that you're going to be checking up on Kyle.
But I'm afraid something may have happened to him. I think I should check it out.
The planet, Droman Kaz, is a hostile swamp planet. Think Dagobah, but if you let the Sith do a little renovating. You learn that the planet has corrupted Kyle with a dark side, and made him go a little cray-cray.
Follow me to the heart of the temple. Feel the power embrace you as your Jedi powers fail you.
Kyle! He's gone insane.
You confront Kyle, and he decides not to strike you down. And the two of you leave the planet, bringing an end to the game, and honestly, it left me confused, disappointed, and empty. Like, Jedi Knight wasn't a well-written story.
Not so distinctive now, is it?
Enough of this.
But it had a simple, basic arc of someone answering the call to action and rising to the challenge by becoming a Jedi to defeat the big bad. With mods though, what it had going for it was the promise of a darker story and our heroes succumbing to the dark side, which it sadly didn't live up to. I can nitpick about how some of the world building was lacking. I even wrote a segment where I complained about the lack of in-world lore, but I usually try to not focus on nitpicks because usually logic and lore never matters in the grand scheme of things.
The sacred Jedi text!
Especially when it comes to Star Wars, which has always sort of been nebulous with the nitty-gritty details.
Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
How the New Republic got their hands on a holocron doesn't matter in the story, nor does how pirates managed to capture an interdictor-class Star Destroyer. What matters are the characters and story. And the first major problem I noticed with the story is that so much of it felt like filler.
Hey, what'd we get this time?
Usual stuff.
What about that mag-sealed crate?
Someone said it was some kind of Jedi artifact. Carol Bonnie's having it transferred to his private collection on the planet.
As in something unnecessary and doesn't move or connect with the main plot. How does helping Kappa or recovering the Jedi holocron have anything to do with Mara Jade's character or her search for Kyle? With Kappa, you're just helping him deal with a rival of his. It backfires and you escape with the supplies promised. Nothing that can be considered character growth or pertaining to Kyle being gone. You might think that the Jedi holocron, the information storage device used by both the Jedi Order and the Sith that contain ancient lessons or valuable information in holographic form, would be tied to Kyle and the Sith planet in a way. Maybe Mara Jade activates it and sees Kyle's in danger. Seeing all this, she tells Mon Mothma she needs to find Kyle and bring him back. You know, create a little sense of urgency, and tie what seems to be like filler to the plot. Instead, Mara Jade just sounds like she just casually remembered to bring up Kyle. We never know why Mara brought up Kyle. It just seems to come out of nowhere.
But I'm afraid something may have happened to him. I think I should check it out.
There's nothing that ties the different stories together. Not even an arc for Mara Jade, where she laments missing her master, being a new Jedi and all. Also, going all the way back to the end of the first act, I don't think Kyle ever explained how he came across the information on the Sith planet.
Because I've discovered some references to a hidden temple on the remote planet of Droman Kaz.
I don't recall finding any data while on the asteroid station. He just brings it up out of nowhere. These filler stories don't add anything to the story of Mara Jade and Kyle battling the temptation of the dark side. And that is unfortunately the biggest disappointment about this game. What is the Sith? Good question. I wish the game conveniently titled Misuse of the Sith answered that, or anything about the Sith. In other words, we never learn a single thing about the Sith. Besides having questions like, who built these temples? Who are these Sith Guardians? Or these lightning zapping zombies? But there's bigger questions left unanswered. We never know how or why Mara Jade and Kyle could be seduced by the dark side.
Kyle, wait!
How does one fall to the dark side? Well, according to the Star Wars fandom wiki, it's those who gave into more intense, raw, and darker emotions such as fear, anger, hatred, passion, and aggression. Alright, so how does that apply to our characters? Starting with Kyle Katarn, the guy who joined the Empire, was quoted saying,
"The dark side? I've been there. Do your worst."
And gave into his hate by killing Maul when he insulted his father in the last game. So why does he succumb to the dark side now? Because the planet made him bad?
When you located the temple, why didn't you report in?
Because when I found the temple, I found a part of me which I couldn't deny. I found a greater source of power than I had ever known. Sense the power of the Sith around you. Accept it.
Yeah, that's the entire extent Misuse of the Sith gives to explain how Kyle Katarn fell to the dark side. He thought he could control the power, but it just corrupted him instead? But why was he looking for power in the first place? When did we ever see Kyle lament wanting power? And what is his goal?
Join me, and together we will restore the Sith to its former glory.
No, that will never happen.
Oh, we're going with that, huh? Sorry, but that sounds so shallow. The reason why Anakin Skywalker fell to the dark side was his fear of losing Padme, which was taken advantage of by Palpatine. And Kylo Ren fell to the dark side because of his fears of not living up to the legends he was named after. So fear seems to be a recurring theme. But Kyle didn't seem to have any fears, not even with his apprentice, Mara Jade. Simply just having him fear about his apprentice's life, like when the Republic base came close to being overrun, would have been something. Maybe he thinks he can find some way to keep you alive by learning the way of the Sith. And hey, since this is 5 years after Jedi Knight, maybe something tragic happened to Jan Ors, you know, his pilot and best friend. She could have been another source of fear or loss for him. So what about Mara Jade? Despite what the game description said, Mara Jade is never tempted by the dark side. Kyle offers a choice a couple times.
And you have but two choices. Cross the bridge before you and join me, or maintain your pitiful faith in the Force by stepping off into oblivion and death.
But Mara Jade clearly isn't interested. Why would she? She's just spunky and never shows any sign of weakness. I know in the books she was an agent of the Empire, but that dark history of hers doesn't show up in the game. I do think they could have played into Mara's anxieties though. How Kyle cut her training short, and now she's left on her own without someone to guide her.
Try to stay out of trouble, Kyle.
There's also a rather confusing segment where Mara Jade faces herself in the game, like her own dark side self, a la that Dagobah scene in Empire Strikes Back. Why is there a dark side Mara Jade? Beats me.
Something dark side.
It's definitely another case of taking something iconic, meaningful, and emotionally heavy from the films and putting it in there for no reason other than it was iconic. I don't even know what Darkside Mara Jade represents. Fear? Anger? Or just video gamey mirror boss? Yawn. In conclusion, the lack of any meaningful exploration of the Sith and Darkseid and how it affects our characters is the heart of the issues with the writing. Maybe I should have expected this in the first place, given what the game was. Mysteries of the Sith is an expansion pack, not a full game. Maybe I shouldn't have set the bar so high. But at the same time, there was that potential from the very start. I really wanted to see Mara Jade go through some meaningful arcs or some character growth. I think it's because the voice acting and dialogue got me invested into the characters.
So much for easy.
And besides the writing issues, the game still has confusing levels and that crushing difficulty more so than in the last game, which overshadows the small little things I liked about this game. My issues seem to stem from the developmental challenges. Stephen Shaw, the lead director on the game, admits in a charming old school website that the game started development on August 1997, but the game released in February 1998, so they had about 7 months of development in total, which isn't much. Some things had to be cut, like the full motion videos and the light side dark side path, which I don't mind since the voice acting here is a big step up.
I can't kill my friends and allies.
No, you can't. Trust in your feelings.
And let's be honest, the dark side or bad endings in games usually are poorly written.
Why should I trade one master for another? The scepter of Ragnos is too powerful to be left in the hands of someone as weak as Tavion. If anything, it should belong to me.
Oh!
But the lack of development time also meant that the story had less time to develop and be cohesively put together, which is probably why a lot of the plot feels disconnected, why Kyle's fall to the dark side wasn't motivated by anything, and why Mara Jade fought her dark side alter ego, who represented nothing about her. We saw how The Force Unleashed 2, more than a decade later, had less than a week to put together a script, and the end result was kinda underwhelming. Speaking of a decade later, the Sith planet, Dromund Kaas, was finally explored and used in the Old Republic, and it's some interesting lore.
The survivors finally settled on the jungle world of Dromund Kaas. There the Emperor revealed his vision to build a new civilization of unrivaled efficiency.
At least something from the Mysteries of the Sith has somewhat of a legacy. The game received lukewarm reviews. Praised and criticized for more of the same, some improvements here and there, some criticizing the difficulty, nothing exactly interesting to talk about. But there is a recent piece that was written by Elijah Beam over at The Escapist. It's an interesting read that I'll link below. It's a bit too overreaching in a few places for me, but I think the strongest agreement I have with him is on the final boss fight with Kyle Katarn. How Mysteries of the Sith manages to subvert the typical boss fight we expect from our Star Wars games. You'd expect to clash lightsabers until one of you falls, and admit defeat like in Jedi Knight. But here, no? In Mysteries of the Sith, you're given clues on how to resolve the conflict. Not defeat Kyle, I said resolve the conflict. Using the murals around you, you learn that you can resolve the conflict without striking down your master. As a true Jedi, Mara Jade extinguishes her lightsaber and forces Kyle to land a killing blow. But, despite defenseless, the blow never comes.
I can't! No!
That's because Kyle's conscience comes through and he emerges from the darkness. You've not only outsmarted Kyle, but you remain true to who the Jedi should strive to be. I'll end the video in his own words. The blade alone doesn't make you a Jedi. It's how and when you choose to wield it. Damn right.